Yes guys, Jess here, back with another video. You read the title. We have a massive move actually happening in the market right now. You can see Bitcoin's up almost 10% today. You have your altcoins going up massively. You can see crypto bubbles. You can see that all the coins are green, literally double digits across the board. The market's absolutely woken up, and you might ask, why is the market actually pumping so much? And you can see I posted just here that President Trump actually signed an executive order on digital assets. You can see that XRP, Solana, and Cardano were actually included in the strategic reserve as of today. He's literally just signed the bill. So this is looking massively bullish for the market. We've come off of very low volatility. The last time I covered Bitcoin was within this range, and you can see that we had a breakdown I've been covering on Twitter where we actually dumped right into our CME gap and our 200-day exponential moving average. But besides that, you can see that we're actually bouncing right now. We actually hit that level over there. We still haven't fully filled it, and more on that later. But you can see that we're actually bouncing right now. We're getting a nice volatility in the market. We had a move down and a V-shaped recovery so far. But yeah, we're actually testing a critical level for Bitcoin right now. You can see that this was previously massive support, and right now we're testing it as resistance. So we need to be very cautious. Right now we're testing this previous level that was actually massive support in this flag, and we're actually testing it as resistance now. We actually wicked above it and grabbed some liquidity, so potentially we can actually see the market cool down a little bit more before we continue to rally. Or if we have enough strength over here, then maybe we can actually pop through, although I do think that's a bit less likely. And you may ask me why, and it's just because we have the CME gap at 84k over here, so it's around 84,300, and we're actually trading above it, and we had this massive move due to news. So in my opinion, I do think that, yeah, we can actually revert towards our CME gap in towards tomorrow and next week, and we can actually potentially form a higher low, just filling this inefficiency here due to the news, then potential higher low before we actually continue towards the upside. If that's the case, if not, then we can actually potentially fill the gap and continue down, as bears may have a bit more control and momentum, fill the CME gap at 77 before actually reversing to the upside, potentially forming a bullish divergence. But that's a bit too far into the future. I just want to be highlighting that we have a massive CME gap here. You can see that the gap is extremely big if I actually measure the gap. So from where we actually closed till now, it's about 10%. It's a 10% CME gap. So it's likely that, yeah, we have a lot of room to actually come towards the downside to actually revert to the mean. So I'm not going to be getting too euphoric at these levels. You know, we're at critical resistance. So swiftly moving on, you can see that we actually hit this trend line and we're bouncing perfectly. This was peak fear. A lot of people were calling for the bull market to be over. They were looking for 60k. They were looking for lower prices, but we actually bounced from this trend line. So that's actually looking quite good. And if you want to look at the fear and greed index, you can see that we're actually trading at fear right now. This needs to update. So I think by tomorrow, we can actually at least creep up in towards neutral due to Trump actually bringing the bullish sentiment back into the market. But yeah, you can see that the fear and greed index actually came off of extreme fear. And in fact, if we actually zoom out on this fear and greed index, we hit a reading of 10 on the day that we actually dumped, which was lower than your FTX crash. So if I go to the maximum time frame and we look at November 2022, when we had that horrific news coming in that FTX actually rugged, you can see that we only reached the reading of 23. So this has been one of the lowest readings on the fear and greed index in about 2 years and counting. So that's absolutely insane in my opinion. You can see that, yeah, every time we have massive fear in this fractal, we actually have some sort of consolidation before a massive move up. So you can see all the way back in 2018 during that BCH FUD, we had the massive breakdown after you actually range, of course, and then you get a massive move towards the upside after you consolidate for about 1 to 2 months. That was the same in 2021 due to the Tesla FUD. We had a small consolidation before actually reverting towards the upside. You can see the FTX collapsed itself. We had a consolidation at the lows before we actually moved towards the upside, and right now we're having a strong bounce. But in my opinion, I do think that we can potentially fill that CME gap completely and consolidate a little bit more before we actually go towards the upside. I can be wrong. We can just rocket up from here. So I'm staying bullish because both scenarios will actually provide us a lot of, you know, higher prices later, you know, a lot of returns for our portfolios. So in my opinion, that's actually very good to be seeing. And yeah, the standard correction this bull market has been in and around minus 24%, and our current peak to trough right now is about minus 28%. So we've actually exceeded the average cumulative drawdown, and we're actually already starting to see signs of reversals. So yeah, I think that the low is likely to be in. If not, we can actually potentially sweep that wick, consequently fill in the CME gap before we actually go a lot higher. But yeah, this is looking really good. So yeah, you can see the CME gap. We tapped into it, but we didn't completely fill it. We had the CME gap above us, but right now we've actually had a massive spike in towards this region. So yeah, I don't know how the CME chart is gonna actually open up. If we oscillate here a bit more, we actually may fill that CME gap, and then we actually move towards the downside, filling the second one. So watch out for something like that. It may not be as dramatic, but you may get something where you actually start to come down and fill both CME gaps before you actually revert towards the upside properly. So you have a deviation of the top and the bottom side of this range that I've drawn out, looking at the CME gap. So yeah, just pay attention to that scenario playing out, and let's move on to the next fractal. So yeah, you can see that we're actually in the territory where we have a potential local bottom in play. So every time we have price drawdown this deep, shown by this red region, we always have a reversal actually brewing. So in my opinion, I do think that a local bottom is definitely imminent. Every time we get to this red region, we actually have a massive move towards the upside. So that's actually looking quite good. And you can actually zoom out and you can see that Bitcoin's actually confirming an inverse head and shoulders right now. We're actually retesting the neckline. So this screenshot was taken at the time of the breakdown, and you can see that we're already bouncing from that level. So that's actually looking quite good. We're actually we're actually forming this continuation bullish megaphone pattern, which is insane, with a massive price target. So yeah, this is something to be watching out for as well. We have a president that's actually bullish for crypto and actually shilling crypto. Like, I think we're not dreaming high enough. Like, the majority of the sentiment feels really bad. Like, we need to be actually dreaming a lot higher. We need to be looking at higher prices because the long term looks really good. But yeah, of course you can get caught up in the short term, which is a massive trap in my opinion. I do think that, yeah, when in doubt, definitely zoom out because the bigger picture actually looks really good. And Phoenix Wells actually agree with me. Every time we have a massive drawdown, they're actually taking a massive long position in this bull market. You can see every time we had a local bottom here, they were actually massively long every time we started to come towards the downside. And right now they're loading up on massive longs. So of course they know something, of course, and I think that I agree with them, and they're just looking at the facts potentially and taking a lot of long positions. So this is interesting to look at. Wells are always making sure that they're ahead of retail, and when retail actually come in later at the top and start foaming in, the wells have already started to offload their positions. So I don't think that you guys do not need to be getting fooled. You need to remain bullish. Although it may not be the easiest, I do think that it's time to actually start to see these signs of the reversals. And of course we have the dollar bull trap in play. You can see that every cycle this is played out, we had a massive deviation of the range highs. We've actually come all the way down and the dollar actually became a lot weaker. And every time that happened, you can see at the bottom there, we have Bitcoin dominance. That's where the Bitcoin dominance actually topped, and we had altcoin season start. So in my opinion, I do think that it's likely that we can have a massive altcoin season brewing right now, as the dollar has actually been weakening this week, which is actually massive to be looking at, massive to be seeing. I do think that altcoin season might be underway right now, and a lot of people still don't believe it. So yeah, I think it's crucial we're actually not getting caught up. And yeah, you can see that Ethereum has actually filled these wicks. So I had the 50% levels marked out. We've actually swept the lows and we actually held the support level I've been talking about. So Ethereum is looking really good. We're actually starting to bounce. But again, I do think that we can maybe range a bit more before actually having a massive move towards the upside. And yeah, once we actually reclaim 2,800, in my opinion, I do think that the bottom will be in, and we'll actually see that massive move to tackle these resistance levels where we had previous rejections. And of course, once we do actually clear those resistance levels, it's actually looking massive for Ethereum, and by extension, the smaller altcoins are actually going to be doing very well. So yeah, I don't think it's the time to be getting bearish. You can see we actually crashed right into key support. So again, we have this ascending triangle on the higher time frames playing out. So I'm not going to be getting bearish. It's actually looking really good. You can look at this massive parallel channel support that we actually crashed in towards, and we're actually holding it perfectly. So I'm not going to be getting bearish at this massive level of support for Ethereum. I do think it's the time to be getting bullish. I do think it's the time that we actually see a massive reversal within the price of Ethereum. And yeah, when the majority is thinking one thing, it is likely that the opposite option is the correct one, as that's what the statistics actually point towards. And we can look at fractals, which actually give you a nice gauge of the psychology of markets previously in cycles compared to now. You know, this massive dip in COVID, there was a lot of fear. It was quite similar. We have a similar chart pattern actually playing out, which is that broadening wedge, and it looks like we can actually play out that move towards the upside. You can look at total 3 as well, which is the altcoin market cap, and we have the same thing happening. We have this retest, and it's likely we can get a massive move towards the upside. So in my opinion, I do think that all these fractals, all these data points pointing towards a massive bullish rally next is actually key. So yeah, in my opinion, I am not staying bearish. I think that we can have a bit of a consolidation for a little bit, just to bore people, you know, get people losing concentration and things, and then maybe we can have a massive rally. You know, the rally can actually come a lot sooner. Typically, we have sell in May and go away, and people front run that and actually start selling in April. So we can actually rally from now. It's the month of March already, and we can actually rally in towards April, and then at that point we can get another pullback. But I think it's the right time. We're definitely going to be seeing some bullish things happening. So I'll be bringing you guys a new video tomorrow. You can see on the lower time frames, Ethereum is actually showing some strength as well. So I forgot to cover that. I'll just quickly mention it. But yeah, I do think that it's looking really, really good. But for the short term, we're actually testing massive levels of resistance. So make sure to be taking care, especially this weekend in towards next week. And yeah, we may get a reversion towards the mean or not. So it's up to you guys. And if you want to be taking a trade from this level of resistance, potentially you think maybe we can actually come down, or maybe you think we actually move a lot higher, make sure to be checking that first link down below. So that first link down below over here is actually the link for HyroTrader. HyroTrader is the crypto prop firm where they actually offer you $100,000 in your Bybit account to be trading. So if you can pass the challenge, which is 10% in the stage 1 and then 5% in the phase 2, you actually get your challenge fee back, and you're going to be getting that massive funded account. So depending on the size you choose, which is the first link in the description, and of course you get that nice 5% discount using the first link and my code here, then yeah, you're going to be getting a massive chance to be trading this massive capital, and you can keep up to 90% of the profit splits once you scale your account. So that's actually insane in my opinion. You know, they have nice Trustpilot reviews, and the second link there actually is some reviews there for you guys to be checking out. And if you want to be trading on the normal exchange, I have the links for Blofin, KCEX and MEXC here, so make sure to be checking them out too. But yeah, I definitely think you guys should be looking at this crypto prop firm. It's a new kind of style in the market. You avoid liquidations, XYZ. So make sure to be checking that out. But yeah, that'll be it for me, guys. Make sure to be following me on Twitter to be keeping up with consistent updates. I haven't been on YouTube for a bit and I'm back now, but I've been posting on Twitter. So that's why it's so important to be following me on here to be getting those updates. But yeah, I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Have a blessed rest of your day. Peace, guys. See ya. Bye-bye.